Hey guys, welcome back. We've had a little bit of a break. Sorry about that. Got a little busy, but we are introducing a new segment we'd like to call On the Radar. It's where it's going to be a brief kind of overview on what we're watching that we think you should watch. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. This one is gonna, and by on the radar, yeah, it could be a new show, but it might not always be. Like these two, technically, one of the shows we're gonna talk about today, I think it's new to Netflix because they're pushing it pretty good. But when looking into the show, it's not new. But anyways, so today's two shows we're gonna talk about a newer one for us, which is Parasite: The Maxim. And then we're also going to go with a classic, which is actually, I think, one of the first that I had you watch in its totality, right? It
Mm,
was it was early in the old anime career.
it was definitely early, yeah, but not like one of the first, I don't
Well then, okay.
think.
So, yeah, we're going to start with Parasite, I suppose. So this one's more fresh. We're not fully done, disclaimer. So if the ending sucks, well, that's our bad.
Yeah,
But
how many? I think we binged yesterday and today. Well, today we only watched two, but yesterday I think we watched eight or
8,
something
something
episodes.
like that. It's a good one. This is it falls in the sci-fi, drama, horror. Both of these shows today, not so much heavy on actual action. It's more so just the vibes of the show are pretty similar. That's why we kind of wanted to put them both together. But with Parasite, it's a 24 episode show, so it's not gonna take you forever. You can get through the entirety of it. It's already finished airing. Supposedly it originally aired 2014, 2015. I think that is probably over in Japan. I don't know. Didn't fully look into it, but new to us because of Netflix just shoving it. They were just like, "Hey, you should watch this." As they do with you watch one anime. I think we've already talked about that. You watch one anime, the entire queue is anime, and Parasite came up.
And I think we had heard some people online that we like to listen to talking about Parasite. So we had heard of it, and then Netflix really started pushing it our way, and
Hmm.
boy howdy.
And what I will also say is, for anyone, no, everyone's of age at this point, I believe, listening to the podcast, but these are both they're rated R ish.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some,
There's bloody violence in both.
but that's the good stuff. With this one, and also so being 24 episodes, this and I believe the next one are both 23 episodes. 20 no 23 minutes per episode. Apologies. So no excuse. I mean, that's including intro and credits. You can sneak one of these in.
Or 8.
Yeah, or 8 of them.
And
Yes.
it's easy to do.
Yeah. So yeah, Daniel, why don't you, what is Parasite?
So Parasite, so you have Izumi, and he's a high school student. And right in the beginning, we're in his bedroom, and um he is woken up to this thing crawling into his arm, like burrowing a hole. And he's frantically trying to not let it crawl up its arm. You can see it traveling up towards its brain.
Well, yeah, it digs into his actual hand. It's not on him. It's in him at
It's
this
in
point.
him. And so he, has this. He's making so much noise. His parents come in, and
Which, by the way, I had a dream like this when I was a kid. Frightening. I don't I think a dream I had when I was a kid, a millipede was walking through the veins in my arms.
ugh.
I know, and that's why. So this scene, you see this
Well,
thing slithering up his arm. Flashbacks. I just stared. I 1,000 yard stared for a couple minutes.
Well, I think even if it hasn't happened to you, like I think of
Well, that's not gonna happen.
well,
So.
no, but I think of even like a dream. I've
Oh
never had a
yeah,
dream like that, but even when I watch like the Aliens movies,
true.
when you see like when it's going to burst out of their stomach and it's like moving around,
Oh
and just anything that
gosh.
involves the creep, or like a mummy
When you
when the bugs go through the veins, like anything
yes.
like that is
When
disgusting.
you realize that even though you're a person, you're just a sack of flesh, and
A
if
sack of
something's
meat.
oh gosh, and you can't. Ugh.
Oh, how fitting. A sack of meat is said a few times in the show. So, getting back to the
Yes.
show, sorry, I'm just thinking in my head how, like, Tom's always trying to reel me in, and now I'm trying to reel him in. The
Listen.
show. The show. So, yeah, his parents come in because he's making a ruckus, and
Keeps talking about a worm.
yeah, and the parents are like, are you on drugs or something? And he looks down, and there's no hole in his hand anymore. So he's like, all right, maybe it was a dream. Wakes up the next day, everything's all good, and his right hand starts talking to him, and
He starts talking about it going a little numb at first.
yeah.
But then, yeah. Suddenly he starts hearing some voices. He's like, what is going on? And we're not going to go like too crazy in the show. We don't
No.
want to spoil anything, but it's the reason that this pairs so nicely with Death Note is one, the tone. It's a much like, there's a little bit of, not necessarily mystery, because you know what's going on as you are the character, but you see that the world around doesn't know what's going on. So you're kind of like that inner circle, like, oh, I know what's going on, but these
Yeah, and
people don't.
how is this situation going to be, because he can't tell anyone, obviously, what's going on, because obviously people would find him insane or capture him and do experiments on him and stuff. So
Which is the problem with most anime. I feel like, man, if these characters could just say, hey, gonna sound a little nuts. Think something burrowed in my arm. Perhaps an x-ray? No, they don't want to do that because it's too embarrassing. So here we are with an epic show.
yeah, and I think why it's so binge worthy, and I think not even just binge worthy. I mean, if you're not a binger, that's fine. I think even just anticipating wanting to watch another episode, as Tom said, it's not necessarily a mystery, but he's the creature that's living in him doesn't know what his origin is, doesn't understand why he had to be in a human host, doesn't know anything. So they're both trying to figure out
What
this new relationship, what he is, like this alien is, which is Migi. And yeah, and that's all. All you know is that you two, or these two characters, are now one, and you're both trying to you and the character are trying to figure out like why this has happened.
and what she means by Migi, she's just throwing that right in the
Oh.
middle. That's the name of the parasite, which what Danielle just found out means
Right.
right, and
The
that this thing has taken over his right hand. Something interesting though, it's not just like, oh, okay, so his right hand's taken over by this thing. No, it's like an alien being. So it's using his body as sustenance. Normally it wants to actually go for the head, take over the human, and that is actually what you end up seeing is that's the main theme of what is going wrong and kind of the decisions need to be made is when the parasite does work, which it does most of the time, gets the head, it starts turning into a cannibalistic just animal.
and
So
eating humans.
they learn they learn the language, they start speaking as, and it's slowly you see that because they start off kind of dumb, but then they end up getting a little bit smarter and smarter and smarter. But uh, Shinichi, the main character, is it's got he's ticking off all the marks, right? So he's kind of like this lame character, super shy. He's got a slight love interest. So you're gonna get your classic anime stuff with this, but I think it's interesting enough, and the writing's pretty funny because it can get somewhat vulgar at sometimes. Um, like the parasite. One spoiler I will give is that took me so off guard is the mom busts into the room because he's kind of freaking out because of something. Him and his hand are probably having an argument. But so the parasite sees it like because the parasite's just trying to Migi, sorry, is just trying to think logically and think about survival. If for some reason decides, well, I'll start like spanking it, and then that'll be so awkward that she'll go away.
Well, and that even happened in the bathroom at school. He was like,
Yeah.
let me see what goes on with your sex organ. And his right hand takes over and he's starting to whack him off in the bathroom right next to someone else.
And then he's saying, don't do that, don't do that. One of the best lines in the show so far, again, a little bit of a spoiler, is another student in there. He goes, dude, why are you talking to your dick? So there's a decent amount of humor in it. We'll let you guys figure out what happens next, but it's got this nice transformation in the character. You're gonna see him a little Spider-Man-esque. That's all a little hint. But yeah, so then from that show we'll go to a more of a classic, and I won't say classic, it's not that old. We've got Death Note from 2006, which you have to have seen on Netflix. By the way, both of these, did I mention that? Both are on Netflix?
I can't remember
Both
if
are
I
on
did.
Netflix. Both have decent. Actually, I think Death Note has got a solid English dub.
Oh, I only watch it in English.
Um,
Yeah.
we did English with Parasite for an episode or two, then switched over to Japanese. They're both fine, so whatever you prefer. So you don't even have to do subtitles. You can do both of these in English, which is great.
Yeah. I was the snob. I was like, I don't think I'm really into it. And then we started watching in Japanese. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better.
She's an
And he's like,
absolute snob.
you are such a snob. And I was like, oh no.
I'm creating a monster, but it is what it is. As long as I can watch anime, that's fine. But Death Note is another kind of
Which we have talked about before.
we have, um, but it's more of it's along those supernatural, not sci-fi, but in this case supernatural. It's still got those dark themes to it. You know, a lot of death, all that stuff, if you can believe it with its name. But just to yeah, so it's all just a thing of a circumstance changing the main character from what you think is a like pretty normal person, except for Death Note takes it. We're not gonna spoil anything, but it takes it to new heights. It's very Breaking Bad-esque. By the end of
Oh,
it,
yeah.
you're thinking definitely a little bit differently of the main character. But with Death Note, it's another somewhat short show, 37 episodes, so it's not as short as the other one. But again, it's something you can get this done in a month or two.
And I think for both, I mean, we haven't finished watching Parasite, obviously, but thinking back to Death Note, you watch other anime and they have those filler episodes. So far for Parasite and for Death Note, there's no filler episodes. You're constantly building on the show, which is kind of what they need to do when the show is only 30-something episodes long, which is nice. They're keeping it concise and to the point.
And as much as I love Goku going and taking a driving test, a show without filler is A-okay with me.
Or leveling up for 3 episodes. It's like, come on, Goku, get there already.
Listen, when I was 12, that was sick. Now, it's sick. 2 meanings of that word over there. But yeah, so Death Note deals with a Shinigami, which is a god of death, and can kill a person provided that they've seen said person or whatever. And they've got this book called a Death Note. Oh, wow. And in this case, you've got one that's name is Ryuk, and he's just kind of bored in this weird limbo world. So he decides let's mess some stuff up. So he drops his book into the human world, just to kind of see what's going on. And then that's where Light Yagami comes in.
And he's smart kid, top of his class, and he decides that he wants to use this well, he didn't really know what the Death Note was for.
Yeah, he just finds it, and it's kind of more of a...
Or no, I'm sorry, I think there are rules in the book. There are rules in the front of the book.
And he's like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah,
I mean, if you found it, you'd think the same. Like, okay, some weird goth kid wrote this and you're dead.
So he was watching TV and they showed, I think it was someone was holding up either like a bank or a store or something, and there were obviously innocent people there, so he could see the person on the TV. They released what the person's name was, and he decided to write the name of the person in the book, and lo and behold, the person falls down dead of a supposed heart attack, and all of, then he starts testing the theory,
Well, and there you go. And then that just starts the show is just interwoven with this God complex, this whole moral dilemma of, okay,
getting rid of all of
these are bad people, but are you then a bad person for getting rid of those bad people? And it's kind of this whole... Yeah, the show kind of gets you thinking. It's very nice. And what I will do is a quick disclaimer. If you're going to look this up on Netflix, please do not touch the live-action movie. Do the show. It's got cartoon face on it. The movie was okay when compared to the Attack on Titan live-action movie.
Oh, God.
They're both horrid. As is this Death Note one. The only good thing from it was Ryuk, because you got,
Wasn't Gary Oldman the voice?
No, it wasn't Gary Oldman. It was the
Er,
Green Goblin. What's
yeah,
his
why
name?
do I always call him Gary Oldman? Oh my gosh, what's his name?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
You
this
guys
is
would know him.
such an iconic voice.
Yeah.
You have your phone right there. You're
Yeah,
not going to look it
you go
up?
ahead and look it up. That's fine. I'll just keep premising. But yeah, so he decides to start, and the show is just slowly him ramping up, taking care of these criminals, and your main portion of the show where it starts to kind of ramp up and get like crazy.
William Dafoe.
William Dafoe, and the fact that I forgot that is absolutely disgusting. I'm gonna be sick in this closet. But anyways, back to the anime. Your main cool, like, the plot point that really propels this show is you've got this other young kid who's also a
Oh,
genius,
yeah.
who just goes by L. He sits weird, he eats candy, looks like a psycho.
And he's a genius. He can deduce, like, he's known around the world, like, investigators and people will bring him in when they can't solve something. He comes in, looks at everything, and is the man who's gonna, okay, this is who did it, or blah, blah, blah. So the government has brought Ellen to...
There's 2 points about him.
Oh.
One, so proud of that use of deduce.
Oh.
And and secondly, he's like Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
is
yeah.
what it is. And
A
if you don't like
teenage, yeah.
Sherlock Holmes, especially Robert Downey Jr.'s movie version of
Oh, so
Sherlock
good.
Holmes, it's already got that appeal right there. So yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, now I can't remember what else.
You
So
were just saying. So now he's going to
yes,
start looking
yes.
into, wait, how are these happening? And then it becomes a battle of IQ.
Oh,
between...
because why? Because Light Yagami's dad is part of the investigation.
If
so
you can
it's
believe it, what a twist!
Oof, man, what a good show.
It's a great show, and that's why I think both recommendations today great, easy for beginners. Little, they're not weird in the anime sense. Oh, kawaii, like that freaks people out not wanting to watch it. It's like these are like a HBO show, like a FX show. If you've watched Breaking Bad, if you've watched like these more gruesome adult-like shows, and you're like, okay, I like that because it's not just some sitcom about, oh, look how wacky we are. These are, they're very serious in tone. Well, less so Parasite, Death Note. My gosh, that whole tone is crazy.
I mean, but look at all of the HBO or Hulu where, I don't never really watch too many shows, but there's plenty of shows out there, whether it's got The Sopranos with the mobsters, or you got the drugs and that's Breaking Bad, or I'm sure there's shows about aliens and I just can't remember because I've never watched them. But the only thing that's different is this is a cartoon. And that's why it's so frustrating to talk to people. It's like, it's the same premise, the same amount of kind of brutality, and it's just because it's drawn, you are adverse to watching it.
And when they look at you and go, yeah, I'll check it out. And they're not going to check it out. Deep down, you look them in the eye, you go, liar, you liar. That's okay. We're just trying to spread it because we love it so much, which, yes, we're biased. We know. We're sitting in a closet talking about it to you guys. But please, just watch one of these shows. Watch it, and then let us know via Twitter, Instagram. Have you seen it? Do you like it? Whatever.
Or do you have a show that's like it that you think we should watch?
True.
I don't know. We kind of watch a lot of anime where it's like the fanciful, or slice of life, not really things in the
We're
genre.
big in the slice of life right now, which, I know we're only doing 2 recommendations, but
Nope,
I think...
we're not going to say anything else. We're going to leave them for a different show.
Folks, I've been shut down. That's not happening, so that's a different episode.
You'll have to listen to next time on
That's true. Ooh,
blah 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 episode.
Man, that was so close to being our podcast name, but it's too easy. Anyways, just a quick short one. Watch one of those shows or else. Legally, that is not an actual threat. I can't really do anything. Appreciate you being here, and we'll get you. If you haven't watched anime, you're gonna soon. I promise. But that's it for me. Say goodbye, Danielle.
Bye.